All right, you guys, look at this. We look so professional. We have a microphone, got a pulpit, got the camera, and it's on autopilot. It's going to track me wherever we go. So, yeah, I know. It's amazing what you can do with artificial intelligence, because we're lacking real intelligence. Yeah, we don't want to talk about the news when it comes to common sense. Okay, I get to share the story with you guys today, and this is really cool because Dan and I actually have two different versions of the book. He has Daring Devotions, and I have Daring Dependence. So same author, same types of stories, but they're actually slightly different. And we're going to talk about William Borden. Do any of you know who William Borden is? You do? Oh, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Did he ever make it to China? Don't share the. Don't give it away. Okay. So. Okay, so this is called choosing the heavy end. If 10 men are carrying a log, 9 of them are on the little end and 1 at the heavy end, and you want to help, which end will you lift on? William Borden, missionary to Egypt, 1887 to 1913. That was his question. And Jesus answered and said, Verily I say unto you, there is no man that hath left house or brethren or sisters or father or mother or wife or children or lands for my sake and the gospel's, but he shall receive an hundredfold in this time houses and brethren and sisters and mothers and children and lands with persecutions, and in the world to come, eternal life. Mark 10, 29 and 30. Most missionaries launch their ministries as unknowns and die as unknowns, but not William Borden. He was born in 1887 to millionaires in Chicago. Borden enjoyed fame and fortune, growing up as a prominent member of the Moody Church under R.A. Torrey. Borden quickly rose to prominence in Christian circles. As a college student, he served as an influential delegate to the student volunteer movement. By age 22, while still a student, he joined the boards of Moody Bible Institute and the China Inland Mission. As he studied at Yale from 1905 to 1909, and then Princeton Seminary from 1909 to 1912, his name frequented the newspapers as Americans followed the career of this wealthy heir to the Borden family fortune. Few missionaries have this pedigree or this influence. William Borden stunned the world when he turned his back to his fame and to his fortune to be a missionary to the Uyghur Muslims in northwest China. A classmate from Princeton reflected the feelings of many when he said Borden was throwing himself away as a missionary. Borden remembering a trip around the world that he had taken during his high school years, and he replied, You have not seen the heathenism. And that plight of the lost had gripped his heart, and the call of the Great Commission stirred him into action. As Borden prepared to leave for the mission field, he accepted many invitations to speak all across America. During these speeches, he would often challenge his listeners. If 10 men were carrying a log, and 9 of them were on the little end, and 1 was at the heavy end, and you wanted to help, which end would you lift on? Borden, despite his privileged background and wide influence he had in America, he was determined to lift on the heavy end. He would spearhead an effort to go where the workers were few, where the harvest was difficult, and he sought to establish a beachhead of truth where the darkest was thickest and the enemy was strongest. Borden's decision echoed the mindset of the church's first pioneer missionary, the Apostle Paul. Yea, so I have strived to preach the gospel, not where Christ was named, lest I should build upon another man's foundation. Romans 15:20. While he could have remained at the thriving church at Antioch, Paul chose to answer God's call, going to Asia Minor, Greece, Rome, even Spain. Pioneer missions today is not what it was during Borden's day. In the last century, the gospel had penetrated deeply into regions that once had no witness for Christ. However, the light is not spread evenly across the globe. Furthermore, where the light has gone before, the darkness unceasingly endeavors to snuff it out. The Middle East was the birthplace of Christianity. Europe was once the hub of Christianity on this planet. Generations far from God, they now dominate these regions. Where are you lifting in the name of Christ? What is keeping you from lifting on the heavy end? C.T. Studd, who launched several missionary efforts in Asia and Africa in the late 1800s and early 1900s, he wrote, "Some wish to live within the sound of church or chapel bell, but I want to run a rescue shop within 3 feet of the gates of hell." Where do you wish to live and minister for Christ? Despite his determination to lift on the heavy end, Borden never actually served among the Weaver people. God had other plans for this young man. With the shining testimony on his way to China, Borden stopped in Cairo, Egypt, for a few months of training in ministry to Muslims under Dr. Samuel Zwemer. And to the shock of the Christian world, cerebral meningitis struck down the 25-year-old before he could ever begin what he thought would be his life's work. And as the word of his death circled the world, God used the testimony of Borden's dedication to spur a wave of new missionaries to go and to lift on the heavy end. A Princeton classmate wrote of Borden's passion and legacy. No one would even know that Borden's life and talk that he was ever a millionaire, but no one could have ever helped but to know that he was a Christian who lived for missions. The death of this widely known Christian served to launch scores and scores of unknown Christians to take the message of Christ to forgotten people, just like the Uyghurs. After Borden's death, a story began circulating about a quote that was scrawled in his personal Bible. And it said, no reserves, no retreats, no regrets. According to these accounts, William wrote, no reserves, at the age of 16 during that trip around the world, seeing the needs of the millions without Christ. The young man decided to give his all as a missionary. Later, when he graduated from Princeton and he turned down lucrative business opportunities, William then added no retreats in the margin of his Bible. Finally, as he laid dying of meningitis in Egypt, he then penned no regrets. The Bible with these inscriptions has actually never been found. Possibly the story originated from a line from Miss Howard Taylor in his biography from 1926. No reserve, no retreat, no regrets had any place in Borden's consecration to God. That was the name of the book. Whether genuine or just apocryphal, the quote captures the essence of Borden's life and has motivated the many to this day to go and lift on the heavy end. So on your table, there are some questions for you guys. And I want you guys to, you can take them home. You don't have to answer them now. But maybe stick it on your mirror and ponder them. And think about, is there an area that you don't choose to lift? Is there an area that you could lift the heavy end? These might be some personal questions that the Lord brought you here today to hear about William Borden, a man with incredible aspirations, probably incredible talent. But God had a different plan for him. And he has a different plan for you. Let's give it up for the Lord. Thank you, guys.